It's over. The Chiefs preseason has come to a close, and now they're ready to start making decisions about who's going to be on the roster to play the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 1. Lots of things are coming. Let's go over the top 5 or 10 right now. Welcome back to RGR. Are you feeling good about it? The preseason's over and it's about time to roll into the regular season. I'm Ryan, this is me going rogue on your Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL. If you're new around here, hit the sub, the notification bell so you know when something new comes up, as well as a thumbs up on this video or any of the others that you like, and leave your comment below. We have a ton to talk about and I'm just going to jump right in. The first thing that caught people off guard was Reggie Ragland playing in Game 4. There's been a whole lot of speculation about it, and I'm going to run through all kinds of things today. It's probably not a real top 5. It's, 8, 10, 12, who knows. But Reggie Ragland's certainly at the top of it because it was such a surprise. And like I said on the Locked On Chiefs podcast, nothing to worry about. What you're seeing is a guy who's been a 3-4 inside linebacker traditionally and has been lining up at middle with the starting 3. Taking some reps on the outside. We saw him do that in Week 3 against the 49ers, as well as to close it out against the Green Bay Packers. Now, the level of competition isn't anything there that's going to stress Reggie out, but it allows him to practice playing a position he hasn't played before. Getting back to some of the things that we saw him do at Alabama, he got some pass rush there, and I think what you're seeing is his physicality and his aggression is going to pay off, and Steve Spagnuolo likes it, and he's found a way to use Reggie Ragland in maybe a non-traditional role for him, something that he can get some good work done and bring another wrinkle to this defense. Now, we also heard Reggie earlier in the preseason talk about having to learn multiple roles, and that's exactly what's going on here. It's just reinforcing what he's going to do when he's not lined up as a middle linebacker.
Oh, it's way different. The coach staff, the two different coach staffs, but the ones from last year, I liked them a lot. As you see, some guys didn't, but this year's though they're very own it, they own us a lot about being in the right place at the pushing us to be better this year. So it's just all about just going out there, keep getting better, and we not worried about last year. Oh, it's fun, man. It's fun. They got me playing different positions, so I'm learning a lot as a Joker, as a Sam, and as the Mike. So it's fun learning it, but I just got to keep getting better, keep studying, and keep asking the necessary questions to keep getting better in the scheme.
The next thing is everyone's reacting to Colin Saunders not progressing very far in this particular preseason. And everybody just needs to do an Aaron Rodgers and just kind of relax. Not the end of the world and not anything that's going to prevent him from becoming a consistent and contributing player on this defense. It just might not be in 2019. You got to remember, he's coming from a level of competition in college that was a lot farther down, and he's at the strongest position group on the Chiefs defense in the D-line. It's not like you needed him to be a contributor. You have that time to allow him to develop and to be a guy that needs that development. And quite honestly, I know he's got a little baby home. Maybe he's just not sleeping good. I don't know what it is. But you're lining him up in the A-gaps in a tilted one a lot. And honestly, that's really not his role. He needs to be a three-tech penetrator. And I think that's what they'll get back to. And as he develops and builds some more of his play strength, that will help him in what they're trying to do with him now. But I think you will eventually see him evolve, develop, and maybe play some snaps that can help somebody later in the season. Now, as was put on the broadcast, there is all kinds of stuff going on with Mark Fields and what he did to himself. This is a guy with a reputation coming out and somebody that I've talked about on the podcast quite a bit. All the physical traits in the world, never quite made himself coachable. That's part of the problem. And I think when everything went badly against the Packers, it all kind of came back to just instinctual physical play, which I do like, and gives him a basis. But if you can't play disciplined, that's not something that's going to float. And I think what you heard is that Andy Reid was pretty hot about it, and more power to him. He should be. But I don't know that it precludes him from making the practice squad. I think it might be a stretch. It all depends on just how far he went. But clearly, Mark Fields has played himself off of the 53, but that does open opportunities for guys like Wade and Miller. I think Fenton's already on that roster. So that's going to be the interesting thing that comes down. And are they going to make an acquisition? Because I do fully expect for Brett Veach to be looking out there for other cornerbacks to fill that role while Mo Claiborne is out on suspension for the first 4 games. Mo can come back later to practice for week 5, but that's going to be it. So look for an acquisition there. Now there's 3 guys whose fortunes have really flipped from what I expected when the season began. And that's Jeremiah Attaochu, Dorian O'Daniel, and Emmanuel Agba. I had Agba as the guy out on the end before, and maybe left out in the cold when training camp started. Now, clearly, with not playing in preseason game 4, he looks like a guy who's going to rotate and take that spot that Speaks was probably at. And now you have a competition, I think, between Attaochu and Dorian O'Daniel, who can be that 6th linebacker, who can bring some versatility. O'Daniel plays a lot of special teams, but Attaochu can play end or linebacker, so it's a real toss-up. We'll be interested to see what comes with that. But those 3 guys have all kind of flipped their fortunes. On the offensive side of the ball, I think the experiment of Khalil McKenzie is coming to an end on the 53. I like what we saw from him working with Will Shields in the offseason, but he hasn't been able to put it together yet. And I just don't feel that they can afford to carry him right now amongst the other things that they have to straighten out at corner, at wide receiver, etc. I think that's going to boil down to, at this point, with the film that he's put out in this preseason, I think they can get him on the practice squad, and I think they'll want to. I think he will come back for that, and that's a good spot for him to continue to develop. I think Allegretti is going to be the one that makes the roster for the 53 week 1, along with Jeff Allen and Cam Irving as the primary backups, and I think 8's about as deep as you can go. We'll see if they change their mind. Andy likes to keep a lot of linemen, so we're going to have to see how that all works out. Now, the surprise of the night for some people as the preseason wound up was Jody Fortson making a couple of big plays, a touchdown, and a really great grab over the top of a smaller defender. And I spoke to Jody Fortson earlier in the preseason during the OTA cycle, and you can hear that on Locked On Chiefs. I'll try to link it below. Really heady guy to talk to, knows that the transition, he played a little bit of wide receiver, a little bit of tight end in college, and trying to find his way through that. They started him in OTAs as a tight end, and he ended up back at his wide receiver position. I think he can do a little bit of everything, and I think they will definitely get him onto the practice squad in order to have him as a reserve of some type, so that probably allows them to just keep 2 tight ends, but he can come in if they feel like they need to bolster that. I think it's something that, especially when they're playing their tight ends detached from the line of scrimmage, he's definitely somebody that can line up in that spot and do something. He's got a ways to progress, but I feel like the practice squad's a good spot for him, and I think he has a future in Kansas City. The future in Kansas City is also a question mark for some of the quarterbacks because Matt Moore didn't play, but I think he's the backup quarterback pretty safely. A little disappointed in what I saw from Shermer. I thought he'd be able to take the reins and take over that position. I think he and Litton are both options for the practice squad, but I don't think they're going to keep 2 of them. So I'm looking for Shermer to come back. I think that's the way it's going to fall out. You let me know, who do you prefer, Litton versus Shermer, for a third guy that won't be on the active roster on the 53, but could be there on the practice squad just in case. We saw a little bit of Rashad Davis, some pluses and some minuses. I thought he did a couple of things that are useful. I think he can get to the practice squad. I think he should be there. I don't think he's going to make the 53. He's not going to push Pringle or Dat off of the roster, and I think those guys are pretty solid at this point. As well as Cody Thompson, I think he is a little bit more in the competition. Didn't see a whole lot from him versus the Packers, but we've seen him have the volume of catches all preseason long. Another interesting guy, but I think he is going to end up on the practice squad. And lastly, I just want to say Darrell Williams didn't play at all against the Packers. He's on this roster. You can call him the backup. You can call him the 3. There's a lot going on there. It really doesn't matter. We are now entering the new era of the Williams, and Thompson backfield, and I think that's a great combo. I'm going to call it WWT. You let me know what you think. But I think the combination of them as a committee, especially knowing that Damian Williams has never really lasted an entire season, I think it's great because their skill sets are so diverse and you can do a little bit of something with each of them, and they're very different. I like Darrell between the tackles. We've seen him catch out of the backfield. We've seen him score in short yardage and out of the passing game. He's a guy with a very rounded skill set and plays special teams. He's not going anywhere. Darwin Thompson's going to have a chance to bring some spark, but I don't think his game is quite as well-rounded. So I think between the 3 of them, Darwin's a little more explosive, Darrell's a little more well-rounded. They can do a little bit of everything, especially if they have to step in for Damian Williams if he does miss a couple of games this season, which isn't out of the world of expectation. So I'm excited about that as well. Let me know what you guys think. Who are you pumped about, and who do you really have your fingers crossed to make this roster? There are a couple of changes out there, and there could be a couple of surprises yet still, so let me know what you think. Please check out these videos, and I'll check you next time.